Hey everyone, Ottera here, and I'm going to be showing you the +12 Priory the Sacred Flame run that my group recently did. As you can see, the first pull starts off pretty tame, and I'll go ahead and leap over here, and I don't actually pull the first boss with this. I know a lot of people do, but I think it's a little risky, and going a little safer on this +12 key to make sure we time it, as this will be the first +12 that we've timed. Now, normally I like to be a little bit further to the left of this entryway. And since I'm here, we're about to pull the pack that's also behind us, but that's fine. It allows me to pull less mobs from around the center. Getting some CCs out, doing our thing, killing these mobs, making sure to only pull one knight at a time. Even if I were to pull more here, I would make sure and avoid other knight packs. So as you can see, like I just said, accidentally got this patrol here, but that's fine. Keeping to the one knight rule, and we'll be fine. Getting some good damage out here. As you can see, our comp has 3 melee, and that's fine for this dungeon. I don't think it's really an issue. It actually helps get the sharpshooters in, but you do have to watch out for the traps. If you get trapped, it can be a quick death. As you can see, our healer died there because of that. He'll quickly rush back, and then we'll get prepared to pull some more. Now, for this next pull, I do like to pull the boss, but he's not in a good spot to do it, so I'll just simply pull some mobs off to the side that I was going to take with the boss anyway. You can see these 3 packs here. I only pulled 2 of them, and I'll pull another one with the boss in a moment. I just want to make sure that we can get these under control first. I'll put some pings down, letting the group know where I'm going to tank these mobs. Rush over to make sure I have threat, come back to get them situated, and then get ready to pull the boss. This boss has a knockback, but that's not really a problem for our warriors since they can charge back in. I will do some tanking in the corner here, which is the traditional spot to keep this boss currently, but I'll also do some moving around with them since it's not really a big deal. Avoiding the knockback. Yep, damage in on the boss here. Once these mobs get low, I'll start considering adding more mobs in so we can start killing packs as we're working the boss's health down. Right now I'm just trying to keep them stacked on the sharpshooter so we're getting some cleave. And then I'm going to have him knock me back toward another pack so that I can aggro it. And then come right back so they can keep DPSing. Looking at the pack over there. Just waiting for the boss to send it. There it is. Quick thunderclap, leap back. I can reflect, I can interrupt, anything to get them grouped. And that's that. Suleiman will die and we'll wait for Chainmail to come down. I made sure and killed him near this side of the steps so that she will come down this side. And the reason I like to take Chainmail out in the open is so that the group can stay nice and spread. Even though we have a melee heavy comp, it lets us do that. So Chainmail will show up here in a second, and I'll slowly start bringing the boss toward where I want to go, which is the other stairs. I know some groups like to pull this boss with some of the sharpshooters that are at the top of the stairs. I like to avoid those packs. I think they're kind of a pain, and I'll just make up for it by pulling more later. This is probably one of the more inefficient areas, just because we're killing this boss alone, but this boss can be troublesome because of how it will leap and put dots on people. Not very fun. I'm checking now to see where the patrol's at, to make sure we'll be able to sneak by at the right time, getting in position, and then I'll immediately pull this next pack. This will be the patrol and this single mob pull at the top, and we'll be avoiding all of the light spawns down there and just simply go around the side instead after this pull. This pull, you can really rely on your team to help you get the positioning and the interrupts you need before everyone really starts hammering the damage here, but a great time to use cooldowns. And so is the next pull. I like to do this pull and the next pull kind of big. It really helps progress the timer and really helps speed things up in this area since we just did that skip. Always trying to tank the mobs on the sharpshooters, trying to get help getting the sharpshooters in is ideal since those mobs do not like to play nice with grouping up. Alright, this is where I mount up, but it's really unnecessary because I only go about 10 yards. We're grabbing mobs, we're leaping, we're charging, we're dipping down, we're AoE taunting, we're using a bunch of defensives, and then we're letting our group know it's safe for them to go ham. Anytime the boss has the reflective shield up, I'll usually try and either lay off the damage and lay in more into the group, like you see me switch the sharpshooter here, and then I'll switch back after that's over, making sure to get interrupts. The reflective shield is avoidable if you let the residual AoE hit it instead. It's a lot less on you. Anyway, nice stack, good damage, great burst. Getting the interrupts on the footmen's defend. Now, as the boss starts to get low, I will drag it to the side as I'm going to prepare to mount and quickly run over to get the next boss. Now, dual maul can be tanked by himself, or you can pull him on top of mobs. The ones on the left are good, the ones on the right are good. You just have to watch out if you pull on the right because there's links and sharpshooters. So what I'll try and do here is, I wouldn't advise it, but I like to get a stun early so we can get the links in place while the group is rushing in, and then stack them on top of the sharpshooters. Obviously, with some of the people still at range there, you can see one of the sharpshooters ran out, but for the most part this pull is completely contained, and you kill as much as you can before he starts his Ember Storm. Ember Storm, you just kite and get done what you can, and then finish the pull into the two boss here. And dual maul is pretty easy, but Dailcry can be kind of dangerous for a tank, so I do like to rotate my defensives here and have something ready for whenever both of the bosses are casting something at the same time. Spell block is really important. Spell reflect is great here for the damage reduction, and then obviously missing the spear is pretty important too, but that's no brainer. So you see Divine Judgment casting, and I have the dot on me from Dailcry. This is where it becomes dangerous, and I want to make sure I have stuff up. If I don't have Shield Wall, if I don't have Last Stand, maybe I can rally. You know, I want to have something ready to where once the boss starts chunking me, I can really help the healer out, and it's not such a chaotic mess. This is whenever it starts really rocking me. I get under 50%, so I'm shield walling. And you may notice here that I keep my defensives, Ignore Pain, and Shield Block on my mouse wheel up and down, and so I can keep my movement and my damage bind separate, and then I can keep my defensives going without having to impact my damage. I find that the best way for me personally to handle tanking, especially in intense situations where you really want to maximize damage, but you're also not trying to die, right? We did have one death here, but he quickly got up. That's what Showmans are good for. Fantastic. And there have been a couple deaths due to traps or perhaps focus of the sharpshooters, but for the most part, I feel like everyone in the group is pretty spot on with recognizing when to interrupt and whatnot. We are trying a couple new add-ons here, as you may have seen the chat spam earlier in the run. That is just kind of a test week, Aura, that we're trying new things to, work out a rotation for CC and whatnot as we progress into higher keys. Alright, so Dailcry's gonna die here, and I'm gonna want to pull a little bit extra so I don't have to pull any more inside the Cathedral. Mainly trying to avoid any light spawn packs that I don't have to pull. I'll definitely have to pull, I think, one or two at least. I think two. And right here, I probably could have gotten away with just one pack percent as well, just pulling one of these two on the side of the stairs and then going up. But just pull two to be safe. We'll quickly finish these mobs and then head up the stairs. I say quickly, but there's two sharpshooters that are spread here, so that can take some time. No real advice for that whenever there's two spread besides pick one, stack them, hope the other one comes in. If it doesn't, switch. When I pull these, I'll dip in a little bit, and that'll cause the neophytes to come rushing at me. Then I'll make sure and get good threat on those. Sometimes I'll even AoE taunt here, but I did have a shield rush, so that was plenty of threat. And then we'll bring these back and kite around. Since there's a forced desync on Sacred Toll, the AoE, as long as the healer's comfortable with it, you can always pull more than two paladins, but I generally like to have two paladins max as a rule, just for group safety. But I will be pulling three here once one of the paladins is low. That's not a problem. And the way I like to do the pulls inside the room here, I'll pull one side, and then once it starts to get low, I'll grab the same side stair pack, and then do the same on the other side. Because these mobs like the AoE, I will actually kite inward before I head to the stairs to get some of this AoE out of the way. This nasty stuff on the ground, yep, letting that back up. Now right here, I'll let the group really work the mobs, and then I'll pull the pack up the stairs behind me. At this point, it's not really easy to get thread on these mobs, and I'll really rely on the group's interrupts, and then using this pillar here, and asking the group to line aside, get back, let's group these up a bit. Sometimes I'll leap over or charge across. This can be dangerous, obviously, because there's AoE in the ground plus mobs hitting you. You don't want mobs hitting you in the back or anything like that. It worked out here, but I don't really suggest doing that. Heroic Leap is much safer in that scenario. Kill these, interrupt as we go across slowly, and then we'll pull the next pack. I probably could have pulled here, but I wanted these casters dead, so... Same thing as the other side, but I can pull a little bit sooner because there's only one paladin in the beginning of this, and two up the stairs. We killed the caster. I see the sacred toll's gone out already, and so I feel like it's safe. The first of the three paladins is already under half. And as long as the casters play nice, this group should stay stacked pretty well. I see some reflects needed to go out. And so I do that and I try and get what interrupts I can here. Just like the other side, I charge across the bad, leap out, use some defensives. That was even more dangerous. But I wanted to make sure that those casters not only got interrupted, but their threat was set on me and weren't blasting on somebody else so that I could group them easier right here. So we'll finish these mobs off and slowly kite toward where the boss will spawn. Alright, yeah, these paladins do have a good amount of health, so yeah. Anyway, this fight can be interesting. If you can bait out the Castigator's shield to where it doesn't hit anybody, it's a lot easier to manage the spike damage that goes out. If you try and do the stuff in the wrong order, you're going to have a bad time. But anyway, the most straightforward part of the fight obviously is bait the hammers, which we'll do here. And then I'll try and move the boss away, and then I'm going to try and make him face away from the group, but there were people in front of him. So what you'll notice here is that the Castigator shield will still go out. But that's the only time I believe this happens. I think after that, I'm able to face the boss away from the group after he casts the soak to where the shields don't go out. Alright, so he casts the soak, sacrificial pyre. I'll try and make him face away from everyone, like that. And now he won't cast Castigator shield. Keep burning, do the bait again. He immediately does sacrificial pyre. So while he's casting the soak, I'm like, where can I get him to not face the group but avoid the hammers? And I try this. Yeah, there's down time for the group's damage, especially because we're all melee. However, prevents the shield from going out. That's much less damage. And we just simply repeat this till the boss is dead. I jump over to soak one here. And we finish the boss and head up. Decent sized pool. I usually start with double defensive shield block and shield wall, just because they'll be up by the time we do the next big pull at the top of the stairs here. Alright, killing these mobs, making it happen, getting ready to move up the stairs. I'll slowly start kiting these paladins up here just to get things moving, because they're going to AoE anyway. Once inside this room, I'll go ahead and pull this main pack and one caster pack to the side. This obviously has the light spawn in it, so this is where we're going to be paying attention to Purify. It's a single target attack that's a channel that will absolutely devastate somebody unless we pay attention to it. And so we're mainly looking for that over everything else. That includes grouping the mobs. That includes getting interrupts. We want to make sure that we have the light spawn set and we know what's going on there. But we're obviously not going to miss any interrupts either. So as a result of that, the cutting's a little bit wonky here. I'm still trying to get the mobs situated even though they're getting pretty low. And causes death, it's a little bit awkward, but we figure it out. So obviously you pull these out of the light spawn, but one of the paladins decided even though he moved out of it, he was still going to get healed by it. Burn him while pulling the next pack. So I pull these while the patrol is not an issue. There is one additional mob that I'll be pulling after that. But really what I'm doing here is first putting the light spawn into the corner so we can move out of it, and then I want to be watching what the patrol is doing while I'm killing these mobs so that I know whenever I can pull them. So I'm looking at the patrol, I'm pulling the mobs back into the corner, I'm looking at the light spawn's health, waiting for it to reach that 20% mark where it will kill itself, and just waiting here for that to happen. I can go ahead and pull that other mob in that's by itself. Unlucky purification. We just whittle down this footman while we wait for the patrol to be in the right spot. And this pull is actually pretty good because the mages are fairly stacked here, and I can just reflect. Easy enough. That separates this pull from the Braunpyke pull and paves the way for the rest of the dungeon. Same thing as the last light spawn. I will pull it further back in the corner. And then we take it down. This guy is a boss on its own. He does a combined significant tank buster with just sustained group damage. It's heavy, but it's not too much. It's just the right amount of heavy, right? So I'll rotate my defensives, the ones that I have left, while we're fighting this guy. I have Last Stand ready. I have Rallying Cry ready. I have a potion. You know what I mean? I have stuff ready for whenever he Blazing Strikes and the dots hit me, and he's just, AoE hitting the group. Since this mob does hit pretty hard, we tank it by itself, but then immediately we'll pull the rest of the mobs and then get ready for the last boss. Controlling the priest here, sending up the footmen to pull the other side. I noticed that I lost threat there, so I stayed a little bit longer. We'll sync up these footmen and we'll try to not stun until they get low, because if you stun them, while they die, they won't do their little burst explosion, and we are able to stop a couple of them, I believe, here because of that. There go the stuns, there go some of the stops, and then some of them will explode here, you'll see. Finally pulling the last boss here. And this AoE that's on the ground is just an effect, and then you can just, immediately stay right next to it. So I'll try and keep this boss as still as possible. I'll keep shield reflect up, and then I'll try and turn my back for the blinding light as late as possible to get as many GCDs in as possible. Um, yeah, and this boss is pretty easy. Reflecting, dealing as much damage as I can. Gonna start bringing her toward the stairs as she approaches 50% and will phase transition up to the top. Alright, we'll quickly get up the stairs and start burning the boss here. The faster you burn the boss, the less ads you'll have to deal with. If you can get through this shield and interrupt the boss in time, you won't have to deal with the second wave of ads. However, we are pretty slow dealing with that here. It looks like some of our DPS cooldowns are not up, and that's probably why. But so we do get the interrupt here, and as you can see, the second wave will come in. These ads don't have an aggro table, but if you CC them, they do automatically die over time as they are taking a lot of dot damage. It's the second wave you'd have to worry about here, fixating people that you can't really control, that you'd have to worry about. So save any stuns and CC that you have left for that, knockbacks, etc., and then finish the boss, same as the previous phase. Overall, not a bad run. The deaths I feel like were definitely due to some spike damage, but still controllable. And I feel like um, our control and grouping were pretty good, but still could use improvement and refinement as we move into the higher keys. And I expect that we will not only continue to do so, but you can expect more commentary videos from me showing how I do this process. Anyway, there it is. +12 Priory of the Sacred Flame.